right, so welcome everybody to the pilot episode of Worth Making. We're really excited to be here, and we're going to start this whole thing by bringing you up to speed on how this happened. So that's the groundwork you're about to get. So I found this text from Sunday, November 2nd at 6:46 p.m. We had this text chain between Allison and Michelle and I to talk about structure, to talk about the design community, how to continue the work that structure has been doing, get designers together, get creatives together, not just designers, but musicians, artists, writers. How do we create forums where we're able to connect with each other because we all live differently than other people do? Um, and in the context of that series of conversations, this thought came up. I was thinking of a series today that I would love to read or listen to that we should make together called Making It, where we interview creatives about how they make their lives work, those who do. E.g., I work part-time for a corporate studio, then spend X days a month in a shared studio for my own work, then I invested in a wine bar, et cetera, et cetera. How do you live a creative life and pay the bills and don't totally burn out without being independently wealthy or marrying rich? And then I wrote, although a Mary Rich episode might also be hilarious. So, we'll see if we get to that at some point. So we started talking about it and we got excited and more excited, and Worth Making became the title of this series. And Allison and Michelle really, I think, created a definition of this series that was better than the text that I started with, which is that the purpose of Worth Making um, is a live conversation series about the underlying architecture of a creative life, the systems, choices, and supports that make a creative career actually sustainable in today's economy. Three hosts and one guest talk candidly about how work, money, time, relationships, and identity are structured behind the scenes. Business models, schedules, boundaries, teams, trade-offs, and the emotional realities of leading creative work. It's not about inspiration or overnight success. It's about the often invisible scaffolding that lets creative people keep going, growing, and stay human in the process. So that's why we're here. And we want to ask people important questions, and we want to find out what you can't find out on the internet, right? We want to find out how people are making the hard decisions that we're all faced with every day and doing it in a way that's actually helping to create the life they're trying to build. Um, so in doing that, we thought we would probably need to do it to ourselves first. So this pilot episode is us laying ourselves on the line because we don't want to ask everybody else to share these intimate details and not be willing to do it ourselves. So it'll be a little bit of a short format in this pilot episode because there are three of us. Normally, we'd spend the whole time with one person, and we have a list of incredible people who we're going to be moving on to after we do this first one. So with that, I would love to do a little short intro. Allison and Michelle, my co-hosts. Allison, why don't you kick us off?
Oh my gosh, Karuna, I feel like you are so brilliant and you should go first. You've done a fantastic intro and you are a powerhouse.
So this is Allison's technique of like do you have a name for this, Allison, where you
Deflection.
the humble deflection? Yeah, I'll take it. We're good partners on this. Sure.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
go on.
yeah.
Go on.
I'm learning from Allison how to do that myself.
She's a master. She's a master. Um, okay, so I am currently the CEO of a women's apparel company that I started as my passion project. This is my dream company. It's hard. I went from being an executive in the fashion industry to, doing a lot of different things for this company that's really like my point of passion. So that's what I'm doing right now. Allison?
Amazing. Thank you, Karuna. I want to give you cred up front. I will use this time to give myself cred. I am a designer, creative director, more in the branding, graphic design world. I've done work with cool brands like Burton Snowboards and Lululemon, but then also nonprofit stuff with Planned Parenthood, ASPCA, and I feel like throughout the course of our chats together, we'll probably get a little bit deeper, but I am all about shifting culture and making good shit happen in the world. And that's really my priority. And I know during our conversations, we'll talk about what does that mean? Like sacrifices and taking less money or more money, and we'll get into it. But that's pretty much the focus of me. Michelle, give us a little rundown.
Okay. Well, I'm the founder of Struktur Society, and I've been running it about 12 years now. First, really as a side project for the longest time. And I know you too because of it. You were guest speakers, keynote speakers at events, and that is how I met you, and that's how I got to know you. And when my, co-creator of Struktur, Sam Ward, and my ex-husband and good friend, when we started this, we said we want to make the event that we want to hear. We want to invite the people that we want to know, that we want to learn from, the event we want to go to. And I was always in awe of you two and so happy to meet you. And so here we are doing this. And before I did that, though, I am an apparel designer, and I kicked off at Columbia Sportswear and then headed up apparel design outerwear at the North Face for many years. And that is how I started the creative corporate career that we all kind of kicked off with, and worked with teams and built this really strong desire for supporting creatives within these business structures. So it became very important for me to support designers and artists and creatives inside structures that are very difficult for them to sometimes exist in. And excuse me, I'm talking while I'm admitting people. Anyway, so that's why we're here. And when Karuna had this idea to have this podcast and do it live with the three of us, I mean, I was like, okay, I'm on it. We're doing it. I already know how to do it. So
I thought you guys would do it and I could just have the idea, but that it didn't work out.
no way. I am just honored to be here with the two of you and with everyone who's showing up in the audience. I'm really looking forward to talking with everybody afterwards too. So
Yeah. I do have to make one disclaimer to the audience for anyone who's sensitive to this, but the three of us swear a lot. Like we drop a lot of bombs, a lot
Fuck
of
yeah.
bombs. So I'm just warning you that this is like a safe space for swearing. This podcast.
thank you.
All right. There we're gonna jump into it, and our first victim is you, Allison.
Oh God, again.
It's that orange toque, you know.
Yes.
So there are three things we want to cover, but generally, and then we're going to get into where we want to go with it, and you can choose kind of where you want to start. But really, what we want to find out from you today is what's worth making to you. You know, what are you trying to do? How are you making it work? What are the structures and scaffolding that are like allowing you to do this, perfect or imperfect? And then what are you sacrificing to do it? What did you have to give up? Because in a lot of these moments, what we don't talk about is the things that we chose not to do, right?
And then you'll have to talk about the swear jar that just got put up in our chat too.
Oh gosh. What?
We're gonna be
Yes,
rich.
there's
We're
a
gonna be
swear
fucking
jar.
rich, you guys.
Oh, oh my goodness. All right. I want to derail the entire structure of the podcast that we had where we were asking people stuff, and I want to invite my co-hosts, Karuna and Michelle. Let's make this discussion. But when you ask me, Karuna, what's worth making, I feel like I have to go back to sacrifice.
Yeah,
So,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like there was, again, Michelle and Karuna, you know, I am a total fiend for quotes. And there was a quote that I heard that was no art without discipline, no discipline without sacrifice. And that was a quote by Antonio Gades. I hope I'm pronouncing it. It's a Spanish flamenco dancer. So dedicated his entire life to art. And again, no art without discipline, no discipline without sacrifice. And the thing that I wanted to share today that I don't think I've shared anywhere else with anyone is that that cadence has incredibly changed from the beginning of my career to where I am now. And we can digger into it, but I feel like at the beginning of my career, work was everything. I worked 20 hours a week and I was so happy about it. Instead of having a 9 to 5 with a 6 hour school schedule every day for 3 years straight, the idea of just work, 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 work. I was such a young sponge at the time that work was everything. And I sacrificed friendships. I sacrificed having a work-life balance. I sacrificed having romantic partners.
Did you feel at the time that that was a sacrifice, or was it just natural because that's what you were drawn to?
I was so stoked about it, and I was just burning everything down around me.
Sounds familiar. Because it's what you love what you do, you know, and you want to just do that thing, right? Is that why you were doing that?
I was at a state where I needed to like catch up and climb. That was that part of my life. And then I feel like as years have gone by, where I would have times where I'm hyper creative, but incredibly lonely. Finally, it has started to shift. Oh my gosh, this is so off script, but yeah, I feel like it's been really interesting. I just turned 46. So really realizing that shift
So tell us
happening.
more about what that actually means in layman's terms, Allison. Like where's your time going now? What are you doing that's fulfilling that creative part of you? And then how are you maintaining a different kind of balance than you might have from 20 years ago?
Yeah, I feel like for the last, I would say honestly, and possibly sadly for younger people listening in, I like went hardcore for about 22 years
Wow.
where work was the focus, and just now in the last year or two rebalancing it.
And I think we should also clarify, like one of the things that I wanted to say too is that we all have a lot of similarities, but we have different family situations, you know, of having family, having divorce, being single, being parents or not. You aren't married now and you haven't had any kids. And so you're talking right into the sacrifices you have made over those last 20 years of pouring yourself into your work.
I feel like for a long time that was my safe, happy place. And I will still say that is still my safe and happy place. And I'm happy about that. But yeah, burning a few bridges along the way certainly haunt me still.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's
And
important to talk about. Lots of people have had this experience, but they think they're very alone in it.
yeah. But I also want to know what that's in service of. Like at this point, now that you recognize that, what are you trying to do that you want to be doing? And what are you finding that you're willing to give up in a more conscious way than you might have before?
Great question. I feel like in service of purpose, community, people, the last 3 years, I've been leaning into education, like shit that I didn't think would be a part of the path. I always thought I would be a Fifth Avenue ECD, and now it's, mm-mm.
What is an ECD?
Oh,
Executive.
yeah,
Yeah.
Executive Creative Director. Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, and want to make sure everybody else knows what that is too.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you guys, right away, we're 19 minutes in, and I feel
Yes.
like my heart is on the shelf. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, let's just cut that open a little bit more. Just
Ready to
so
bleed.
so you just moved across the country though, right?
Yeah, I did.
Tell us more about why and how's that working out?
Oh my gosh. So I left New York City in 2023 looking for change, and I spun the globe and landed on Austin, Texas. So I spent 2 years in frickin' Austin, Texas. Love to everyone there.
Did
Great
you
place.
really spin the globe and just pick a place?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm freezing. I'm slowing down. Um, okay. And why
Yeah.
then, yeah,
And
that's how you picked it.
that's how I picked it. Had a few good experiences there, but by early 2025, multiple mentors of mine made a coalition without knowing each other. And they were like, Allison, you need to be in a place where if you have a bad Tuesday, you can call someone up and go have dinner with them or go have tea with them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So is this
I,
still in the service of trying to figure out how to find that balance that you didn't have? Like is this all about continuing to do your work, but figuring out how to find some kind of equilibrium? What were you looking for? What are you looking for?
oh my gosh, I feel like when I moved to Austin, I felt like I can keep being heads down and jamming out work, even if I'm far away from my friends. And that there were personal things that happened that completely disrupted it, and then
Mm-hmm.
found the need to be closer to my people who will never disrupt that equilibrium. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm back up in Vermont. Never thought I would be, but in a little village, and I look outside and there's mountains, and I go snowboard and hike up those mountains.
Mm.
Absolutely beautiful.
That's something that we've been talking a lot about this as we're all older now because we're all over than the 45 mark. And we've all had these careers at with bigger companies. We've all stepped out and started our own business. And now that has provided a level of insecurity, but also joy. And that's more like the financial insecurity. I'm talking from me right now because I'm going to ask you a question about this. Um, but also this level of freedom and flexibility. And so, yeah, I mean, when we talk about like, what's what has that shifted in that 20 years of working with other brands and companies, and now starting yesterday, RIP, your own independent, and now being able to spin the globe and move to Austin? How do you make that work? How are you able to do that? And from moving from a company to then being independent and having this freedom, along with the sacrifice. I'm looking at the things that you were able to do to make that happen.
Oh my gosh. I feel like until the age of 40, I worked for other people always, and always thought I would never be brave enough to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then circumstances, I dipped into it. It was pretty good. I had, I will pause right now that a mentor of mine has always told me, make sure your location, vocation, and relation are in check. When there's one or two that are off the rails, life will feel like a tornado.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really,
So
really
and
cool.
when I say relation, it's not romantic, like making sure you have a community. And again, the person that can go spend time with you on a Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like at that point, the vocation, I started my own thing and it was pumping. It was great. Vocation, or that was vocation. Location, New York City at the time was fantastic. Um, Relation, I had a fantastic community, like all my neighbors, we were all friends. It was great. But then it got to a point where the vocation would be great regardless of where I lived. And my location was super freaking expensive.
Yeah.
So,
Right. You were doing most of this your work virtually at this point.
yeah, exactly. So, moving to Texas, and again, for everyone, if you want to save taxes, go there, but the politics are a little crazy. And then relation, I seriously underestimated the need for community, like romantic or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I bounced down there. And then at the end of 2025, I was like, all right, vocation's still fine. Location, I don't really give a shit about where I live. And relation, I felt like I just need to be close to my friends. And again, my 20s were built here in Vermont. So if I right now texted anyone that I used to work with or used to know, they'd be like, I'll be over in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So
that's
making,
powerful. Mm-hmm.
I know, making that shift was super important. And again, I'm so curious for people who are like, I've been married for 10 years or been with my partner for 5 years and we can go anywhere and we'll make it work. Cool. I envy that, but that hasn't been my experience. So being close to friends that have had my fucking back for 20 years and I have like 50 of them here. It's been
That's
really,
huge.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's been really awesome.
that seems to rise too as we get older, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the conversation that we're wanting to have here, is that this conversation is for any age, but and we'll hear from different people in our audience, but is that things change over time, and you have to be able to be flexible and shift with it.
Well, and that's the thing. The older you get, the tougher it is to make deep connections because you have to have like something in common. Like I really appreciate this trio so much
Yeah.
because we have so much in common, but I don't know. I've had mentors tell me all you need is five tight friends. And if they're like ride and die, you're fine.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Yeah.
gave me chills hearing that.
Aw.
Okay. I think that's a good place. Sorry, go ahead, Allison. Did you want to add anything else?
No, I feel like I'm taking us off track. So no.
No,
Not
not
at
at all.
all.
I think it's a good segue actually, because Michelle, you have gone through so many different lives, between being a black belt, a musician, a designer, a design leader, then becoming an events personality, like a person who's bringing all of these creatives together, then becoming a host, a writer, right? So
Yeah.
you've been evolving pretty radically for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So, like the three questions we're answering today, right? What's worth
Yeah.
making? How are you making it worth work, and what are you sacrificing to do it?
Sacrifice is the key. I mean, I'm going to, tag right off of that. And I'm going to say this is 30 years, 40 years. I've got several years on Allison. I just had my 56th birthday yesterday. And
Happy
and I
birthday.
feel what's that? Yeah,
Happy
thanks.
birthday.
And it just we are around a lot of people who are very young for our age. And I think creatives do that because we're so much more attached to what's important to creating. And I had a rougher start, like it took me a lot to get my career going. And I didn't really get to the design career until my early 30s. But then I really took off because I had a good foundation. But the thing I thought about this last night, I was thinking like, there are three things that trade-offs. So we talk about sacrifice. I'm going to frame it as trade-offs. There are trade-offs, and I think very clearly about the things that I'm trading off. Values, what is important to me, because that's how I decide what my trade-offs are. And starts with a mindset. So I've had a different mindset my whole life from my mom, from who's here in the audience from the get-go. She has a pretty amazing story and mindset too. But that mindset has helped me kind of create this pathway and these values of I can change things. I have an internal locus of control that I feel like, well, I often feel like things are my fault when they're wrong or when I didn't get anywhere, but I also feel like I have power to change things, right? So the mindset of I can make things different. And also I can do anything I want until you bump up against that damn wall. Um, then that defined my values and that defined the trade-offs. And at my point, now like it took a long time to get to the corporate career, but then I had an almost, 15, 20-year corporate career that I was really heavily reliant on. It's like once when you grow up broke and you you like have that suddenly, you're in a place where you're making a six-figure salary and you're working for the biggest outdoor company in the world and you're leading teams. You become really dependent on that. And I started to really, thinking about
Financially and emotionally.
both, yes. Because
Yeah.
financially, yes, it becomes actually that shackle that we all know now that we're hitting. Like when that isn't there for you anymore, then wow, how do I keep getting that? And you're dependent on somebody else. And I was always very in awe of people who could start their own business, have their own body of work that actually had their name on it. And I got that at Columbia Sportswear at one point, where they wanted to revive a brand that they owned and have me kick it off and put my name in it. It didn't happen, but that was the first inkling I got of, oh, I could actually have people know this is my stuff.
Yeah.
But I think what really hit me is later on, having a partner now who's a musician who hasn't had the corporate career and the huge salary, but I was in awe of his ability or his to run his own life, pick up students, teach. put your name on the album, have all the writing credit. Everything you've made is your work. And I started to learn a lot about creating your own content before content creation was a thing. I wrote that. I was like, I need to create my own stuff, something for me, put my name on it. And I was terrified to do that. And so for me, the step out from corporate to being independent was freaky. I mean, when I say Allison, you're like, well, it just kind of worked out for me. Well, it didn't work out for me. Um, but
That
I think
smoothly.
I think I'm moving my internet might be a little unstable here, but but what led me to do what I am doing now is to go out independently. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but I
I'm
think you should
trying
keep
to
going.
kind of um I didn't choose to go out independently. I got spat out when I became a mom, quite
Hmm.
frankly. And I got to last a couple of years like that, a few years in till he was about 4 or so. But quite frankly, the outdoor industry did not. The brands I was working for did not support that. And when
Yeah.
he had a couple of febrile seizures, and then we thought, he ended up in the emergency room, and I was not supported at my office for that. And that pushed me out. That made me quit. That made me leave. And I
Yeah.
stuck around and wrapped it up. And but it also made me start structure because I really felt like I was leading teams and I would see all these creative people who felt very isolated and they didn't know how to connect with other people. They didn't feel supported inside the corporate structure. But I'm such an artist and creative. I've always identified with that from 5 years old on. I just knew I'm the artist of the group. And I wanted to do something about that. And it was, my husband at the time, Sam, he was working in the tech industry that doing a user experience website and had been involved in that. And he said, well, I'm always going to events. Don't you have events for your designers and creative trade shows or not shows,
Oh,
conventions, conferences? And we were like, no, we just go to trade shows and try to eke out an existence in a trade show that is not supporting designers and
yeah.
still has a hard time supporting designers. And so he said, well, why don't we start something? And we got coaching from somebody who ran Web Visions, very big, web design conference. And he said, make the conference you want to go to. And so that was the piece where I had to have a mission that was outside of me to start something, that wasn't about me, because it was too, I'm a Gen X, I'm too self-conscious. Oh, it's terrifying to put ourselves out there, right? And we're not doing social media and stuff at this time yet. I mean, this was 2013, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still pretty early and all of that, but it was happening slowly. But yeah, and so I had to start it from having a mission to help other people. That's what
Right.
pulled me out of myself.
But how did you even figure out how to do that financially? Like you didn't have like a huge coffer to start this new business with. Like how did
No.
that work?
Um, Part of it was that we ran it on the side while I still was working. So I kicked it off while I still had a job.
Okay.
And I had a job that allowed me to actually start being, a mom. I was actually, I mean, here in the Bay Area, I had a job I could actually walk to, and I was still in the industry. I could work from home part time and be a mom, which was really important to me, is to be present for my son. Um, and I could run structure on the side. And we ran it one time per year. We funded it with whatever we had, and we got lots of sponsorship. We sold tickets right away. I mean, it just was something that was needed. So it funded itself, and then we came back. We didn't pay ourselves, but the money that we made from it, we were able to fund the next one, right? And
Mm.
so on and on and on. And so we could keep funding the event, but it was not paying our lives. Um, and it eventually I got completely kicked out of the industry and got laid off. And I'd never been laid off or fired from a job in my life. And here I was, a mom with this event that I'd started and a partner who made half of what I had made. at the time, or a bit less, quite a bit less. I was the breadwinner, and we had savings, we had investments. We owned a house in the Bay Area, so we had bought at the low end, and it grew. So we bought at the tail end of the financial crisis, and so we owned property. We'd made a really good choice and bought small. So that's one of the big things I wanted to also say too is in the trade-offs, I've never had the trophy house. I've never had the big place, right? We were always very frugal. And so we bought small, but we bought in a good location that within 7 years, it had doubled, more than doubled in the
Yeah.
Bay Area. And that's a lot for the Bay Area where, everyone starts at $1 million homes now.
Yeah.
So that was a key thing that we did at that time. And that location made it really easy for us to get everywhere. It was small. We didn't have to do a lot of maintenance. It was already fixed up. So that was a choice. We didn't get taken in by the money of, what is it, house poor. We weren't house poor at the time. Yeah, please.
May I jump in? Number one, for anyone who knows Michelle, I am so proud of you for being so candid and transparent. I feel like you always show up as this composed person with a narrative and like keeping things on track. And I really appreciate you going totally off script in the most beautiful way to share with us
Is this off script?
your path and your journey.
Yeah.
I feel
We
like
don't know
it.
yet.
I don't know. First time, I feel like for people outside our group to hear you talking real and personal, I'm super stoked about that. And the second thing I was going to mention is living a life where you're enough to live below what your salary or what your income is and purposely like live at a third of it.
Yeah.
The only reason I bought a house here is because I've been doing this for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
I allot myself to a fraction of what I make.
Yeah.
So
and that's
just something I wanted to highlight.
Thank you. And that's an incredibly challenging thing to do in the Bay Area. I know, Karuna, you were wondering about that as well. It's like, how do you do that? Because, yeah, and I'll be candid about so much because I think we need to be. I think holding back on a lot of the stuff, especially when we talk about money, what our salaries are, what people are paying for things, that has really kept people down. It has kept women down in earning levels, and understanding. And I think I'm having an unstable internet, so I hope you guys can hear me. But
we can still hear you. Don't worry about it.
But one of the things, like, there are 3 M's that were the main things that were my values. One is I have to do work that's meaningful, right? And having meaning, and that changes through life. Our whole arc of our lives, the meaning for ourselves is going to change. The second one is money. Money is really important to me because it has helped me be independent through the salaries I've made, through the choice I made in investment in a house. And also, I've received a little bit of inheritance when my marriage broke up, and I was able to set up and establish my own household because of my investments, my 401k, I work with a financial advisor, and that really helped me to be able to have independence because I know a lot of people that are staying in relationships that they can't leave or are not fulfilling them anymore because they can't financially leave. And so the choices I've made that to remain frugal, I live well, but I live in a 1,000 square foot apartment. I don't own a house anymore. I've owned 2. I rent now because buying a house in the Bay Area is insane. It's insanely stupid because a lot of them are really run down and need a lot of work now. The neighborhood I'm in, the houses are 100 years old now, and people are very house poor in a lot of them. So renting is smart. And with my financial advisor, I am able to, have an allowance that helps support where I need while I'm building the business I want to build. So I will also say that the business I'm doing right now does not fully support me yet. And I've had a nice set of years to have the freedom because of my earlier financial choices, which gave me freedom to now have some time to figure out what I want to do instead of going back into a job that I might have to leave the Bay Area and not be able to be right here and co-parent with my ex-husband, our son. But that the money is important and the mom, being a mom. So that's the other piece is I wanted to be present for my son. And he's 14. I've been able to go to every game, parent teacher conference event, pick him up, take him to school. We trade that off and we're there for him. That means everything to me to do that. But the money piece allows that freedom to then build what I want to build. And then get smarter about it. So for me, it was early on, it was about there's that frugality, but now it's about there's also the generation of it, the creation of money as an energy for all of us. And so the whole community of structure and the creatives, I just became very dedicated. My meaning has gone into helping people have creative careers that have meaning, but also generate the energy they need to support themselves and survive. So what we're doing here, that's what I'm all about.
Oh, absolutely, Michelle. I'm going to pick up the mic from you that what I'm hearing now, and I hope over the next couple of hangs, we can dig into that financial priorities and financial intelligence at each stage of that process will be something
Yeah.
extremely important to bring into it because again, personally, when I was young, it didn't matter. I was poor. I didn't have responsibilities, but also planning for the future. But again, I'm going to double down. I feel like I've had candid conversations with the two of you and your candidness in this conversation. I'm super stoked and
so important. So important.
impressed. And I'm going to, I don't know, Karuna, I want you to chime in a little bit. Now, this is my time to be host. Everyone judge me. Let's see
We're all
how I
watching
do.
you.
I know. Let's see.
I love you, Allison. You're awesome.
No, no worries, no worries. But again, in no particular order. And again, I feel like for people who may have jumped on a little bit late, Karuna is an absolute inspiration to me and powerhouse. And I don't know what's worth making to you. Are there sacrifices that you've taken along your career? Again, as a person who has worked for so many iconic brands and then also branched out to do your own thing, we want to hear from you. Just, I don't know, a little teaser.
Yeah.
Well, I'm listening to the conversation so far, and I think what I'm realizing is that, my whole life, the order of operations for me has been like vision first. So I got an idea and I want to make that idea real. And then everything else is in service of that. And that idea could be about a piece of clothing, it could be about physical experience. It could be about owning a home. It could be whatever. But then all of my energy goes towards like realizing that vision, right? And like whatever gets in the way needs to be removed, right? Or I have to jump over, or jump around, or jump underneath, or like, and so that's like my whole process.
Yeah.
In like part of my life,
She
you know?
locks on, a lock on.
Yeah.
I will jump in right now to make sure that everyone that is here and everyone listening, this is C-suite mentality right now.
Yeah.
Like Michelle and I operate a little bit lower in the chain and
I don't know if it's lower. I think it's just different. It's like
different, sure. But
I don't necessarily
come on.
idealize C-suite mentality, right? Like
Yeah.
I also come from a culture of people and friends where like corporate leadership is not the goal of life. That is not like what everyone's trying to be, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
No, but they
You're
need
surrounded by
good
artists,
brands need people
right?
like you.
And I have this in me, right? I have this in me, so I have to express it. I have to find it. I have
Yes.
to.
Right, right.
Um, and so for 25 years, I just made like I had growth in my career. I made more money from one year to the next every single year.
Mm-hmm.
My title increased, my responsibilities increased, and it just kept going and going and going. And it wasn't because I had some like identity concept of what I wanted to be at all. It was like, oh, that's the next, like, how about that? What's that over there? It's like every time you get to a bluff, you see another thing that's interesting. Like, what's up with that?
This is
And
the
also,
definition of the ladder, the career ladder.
yes,
You're climbing
yes,
it pretty steadily.
I
but
feel
in a
like
way that I hope is not like an asshole, frankly, you know?
no, I feel like you have, again, from the bit of time that we've hung out together, you have an endless curiosity of what's possible. So it's not a corporate ladder, it's where does the runway end?
Right. And with every achievement, it's kind of that becomes a dead skin in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, okay, so this is what it feels like to be in the room, right? To have a seat at the table.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know if I like the people at this table,
Yeah, we've talked about
right?
this.
Like,
Yes.
that's interesting. What do I think about it?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden I found myself at a point where I was like, okay, I have all these things that I wanted. That's great. That's cool. I've sacrificed a lot for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really fucking tired, first of all, but also I'm juggling this life that's insane, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not sure this is healthy, but I'm also not sure it's leading to me to be like my best self or do my best work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I spent a lot of time thinking about that and not even thinking as much as feeling about it, like just
Yeah.
trying to like be like, what is that? What does this mean? Right? Why am I so ungrateful for like where I am? But
You also are you have a husband and you have two kids
yeah,
and
who are they're great.
yeah.
I mean,
But I just want to put that out there so people know that yeah,
yeah.
there's this whole
And I'm
package going on.
serious. I'm serious about my relationship. I'm serious about my kids. Like these are all like when if I'm in it, I'm in it, right? I'm not gonna half-ass any of that.
Yeah.
So, and my friends, I have like really important friendships that are like mean the world to me. But it all starts adding up and adding up and
And
adding up.
I don't want
And
to take,
like,
yeah, I want to say too that that's what we've had a lot of conversations is for all the things that you're doing, you always are very clear about what you can and can't do and what you can do and you say you're going to do that's important to you. You show up 100% and you're very clear. So there's
yeah,
boundaries.
which is, I work on all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like it's like that's not like a natural thing necessarily, right? Um, but um, but I did get to a point though where I was like, okay, I had started this little brand with my best friend on the side, just as an experiment because I was pretty disillusioned with the fashion industry. Who isn't? And I was like, okay, but like, why don't I put my money where my mouth is? And like, what would I do? Right. And like,
Yeah.
maybe I just do just a little toe dip just to like not make a big commitment. And then this toe dip just started evolving. Right. So I got to this point about a year and a half ago where I realized that I have this whole world that I've built that I can keep building and expanding. And it has its pros and cons. I have this incredible team of people who I love. The corporate stuff really gets on my nerves, but
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And but over here, I have this like passion project with my best friend back in New York. I'm in Toronto at this point. And that's growing and it's growing on its own. And the idea of not only having my time back, being able to choose what I do 1 hour to the next,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to just make the things I really want to make and
Yeah.
nothing else. That idea started to grow and that became the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about how do I do that? And even doing what we're doing right now, guys, like it's part of this process. It's
Yes.
part of trying to figure out I'm now designing a company instead of just designing clothes.
Yeah. Oh,
Amazing.
I got chills.
Karuna, I want to ask you because, again, over the last few months and all that we've been chatting about, like, sure, I have my background, but I'm starting to spear off into
Hmm.
things that make me really excited to
Mm-hmm.
do. Like,
Yeah.
what was the spark that kind of ignited, oh my gosh, this thing that we did as a fun little nerd sesh is actually turning into something. So I want to pivot into it.
I think it's just very human. It's like I really wanted to take time with the things I was making.
Hmm.
The thing that I'd sacrificed the most for the longest was time.
Mm-hmm.
Just time to think. Just time to be with somebody without being like, "Oh, I gotta go. I'm so busy." Like the my aspiration at this point is to not be busy. I'm
Hmm.
so far from that. I'm so far from that, but
Well,
I
you're very
will
busy. Yeah.
I'm very busy. I don't think that's a good thing. If I can reach like the potential to create the thing I want to create and not feel busy, that
Yeah.
feels like, oh my God, like that would be
Yeah.
amazing, right? So I'm like chipping away at this. How do I do this? So like money's really important. I got to have enough money to pay the bills. I was always the main provider, and now with my husband and I, we've flipped, right? And he's the main provider. But it's tight. It's tight. And part of moving back to New York and making that decision is like weirdly and crazily, for similar reasons to you, Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
it's cheaper for me to live in my own home in Brooklyn than to rent a house in Toronto.
Hmm.
And everybody's experiencing this, right? The way like housing costs have just ballooned and crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I have now is I have this fledgling business that is still not profitable, but like growing and exciting. And the people who are buying the clothes and the people who are engaging with us and how much they're loving and feeling what we're trying to do is it's addictive,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
Um, and I really wanna make it work, but I got to figure out how I can pay myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on that journey. And I have to do some consulting on the side just to like cover bills.
Yep.
Um, but also I do get to choose. I have more things than I can do in a day, like I've had for 20 years, but I get to choose the order in which I do them, exactly when I do them, and I have control over my time in a way that I haven't for a really long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that also means that like I don't buy as much shit. Fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's the theme I'm seeing here, right? Too, is these trade-offs for what's important.
Yeah.
The fact that I couldn't, necessarily go buy, a big expensive house in the Bay Area or a larger house, or I drive a 12-year-old car that's paid off and it's in great shape. I don't need another car.
Yep.
But I get to put my son through private school in the Bay Area because in Oakland, that's what you do because it's rough here to go to public school. But that's a trade-off that was important to me, right?
Yeah.
The fewer better things comes in. What are your better things?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the theme of my business and my life, and it's all
Right.
interconnecting, which is like I'm trying to make better and less and provide people with somewhere to go for that.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, you guys, I get those ads on my phone, and I'm like, why are you trying to sell me trash? I don't need more trash in my house.
Oh,
Mm.
We all are surrounded by so much trash at this point.
yeah.
I mean, metaphorically and physically.
Yep.
Like, I feel like everybody just wants to like be free of like this burden of garbage.
Yeah.
And garbage comes in many forms, right? So like
Yeah.
part of the key to this, I can feel it, and this is every time we interview somebody in the next episode, I want to like pull this out, is like, how do you get to the good stuff and how do we stay away from the garbage?
Yeah. That setting your
Mm.
intention towards it. I mean, definitely feel like I'm always talking with my partner with, wow, the amount of stuff that's trying to enter my home, my phone, my computer, I don't have to do anything. I could just sit there and it will just pile up on me. Buy this, do this, do this. We are now in that overabundance phase. And so, for your brand for Four Objects is just, it's these beautifully crafted pieces, but there's also a story behind the connectedness between the people who are making them too. And
Yeah.
that's what I also love is how it supports the whole chain.
Yeah.
And that's a bigger piece for me too, is all the interconnectedness that we all have, right?
Absolutely.
I
I think
will
the key to a lot.
Yeah.
I will chime in that I feel like over the last 2 to 3 years to personally not rely on one income that I become a slave to be committed to
Yeah.
multiple incomes that I can show up as best as I can, have boundaries, and then hold space for what the fuck I need to do. And
And Allison, I think that speaks to what you were saying before is like when you have money coming in, save that money.
of course,
But like as much of
squirrel
it,
it,
Yes.
squirrel
yeah,
it.
because
Yeah.
it then you can withstand those moments and give yourself like that gift of
Yes.
freedom.
Oh my gosh. And I know we're about at time, but I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but 2025, I was in a year of total burnout for the
Mm.
first time in a really long time, and then held a month to run away and go do a print residency. And then I did a furniture building apprenticeship, like so random, but
Because you could, huh?
Yeah.
because again, for the last 6 years, living in New York and Austin, I paid myself 50 grand a year, which
Mm.
I know for a lot of people, that's probably like, holy shit, that's a great salary. For other people that I know and my peers, they'd be like, what? That's a third of what you should normally be making. But no, I've trained myself to
Yeah.
not be a cheapskate. If I go out to dinner, I'll pay the bill. I'm happy to do all of that. But no, I feel like the last several years recalibrated what I actually need to live and what can I put aside for future dips,
Freedom. Yeah.
future
Yeah.
freedom, and then
Absolutely.
also charity and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've downgraded a little
I'm
bit.
I'm going to say too that we are going to start wrapping up into our Q&A. Karuna, was there anything else you wanted to add into that? Do you feel?
No, I'm just really excited to find out what this audience wants to know about.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
get into it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
I think this is where the world is going, though. Also, that multiple streams of income, multiple flexibility, all kinds of those types of things that we'll get into the Q&A here. So now I'm gonna thank you guys. I mean, I told you we would have so much we could have go on for another two hours, right? Easily. But this is gonna have
Ruth's
to
like, no.
this is gonna have to conclude our recorded podcast portion, and we'll move into the Q&A now. And
Before
now,
you unrecord, can we say last words?
yes, please.
All right, Karuna, can I invite you? Your time here was so insightful.
Is that a cue for me to have something wise to say? Is that
That's just me saying I want it on film, on tape,
Oh,
that everything that you shared, again, from your path and your perspective was very insightful to me.
thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
And I appreciate the same from both of you. Like
Yeah.
now I do have even more questions, but
I know.
Okay. Well,
how you live 50 grand a year. But yeah.
yeah, totally. And my thing is self-community world. We work on ourselves to be the best we can be and find our values. We connect with our community and we figure out how to put that out, what the work we're doing out into the world.
Yeah.
And I learn so much from the two of you every time we connect.
And apropos of that, I think when we talk about relation, vocation, um, location, was that the last one?
Location, vocation, relation.
Relation. These different parts of your life that you're kind of working with constantly. I do think it's a fallacy and an illusion that they're not constantly interconnected all the time, that you can kind of
Absolutely.
mentalize one from the other. Like the more you can embrace the fact that they're like in constant communication,
Mm-hmm.
that like you have your own internal ecosystem and community, then it allows you to more accurately assess and deal with the challenges of like how to break up your time and your work and your energy and your
Yeah.
creativity. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's lots we're learning here.
Absolutely. And I'll wrap us up just by recapping that concept that when two are feeling good and one is out of whack, you're totally fine. When two are out of whack, the spiral starts. When all three are out of whack, don't be surprised if you're literally in deep depression. So again,
Yeah.
Wow.
location,
Thanks.
vocation, relation, and relation is, it can be a romantic partner, but I think it's even more just having a community to rely on
Mm-hmm.
virtually, of course, but also in person. And then last words. Um, Thanks for having me. Hopefully you'll have me back.
You have to. You're part of this.
Oh gosh.
You're on the one of the logos. So
Oh,
all right.
until the YouTube comments come. But yeah, perfect.